Bill Belichick. The gift that keeps on giving for the offseason in sports. Will we be talking about his romantic life? Will we be talking about his contract? Will we be talking about football? Will we be talking about his former players? Will we be talking about the transfer portal?
Don't forget about the book.
Will we be talking about his book? Will we be talking about his I mean, we could just keep going on. I don't know why I had to say it in that voice. Will we be talking about his life? Yes, in some form or fashion. He spoke to the media today. He had a media availability, a couple of players, kind of an off-season checkup, which I think if I were running a program, I would do more often, right? I don't want people poking around. I want to present the program. So he had a media availability, and we have the audio for you in a handful of clips. If you want the entirety of it, by the way, it was streamed live on WRAL.com. Our colleagues over there had the full video, so if you want to go check it out, you can check it out. Let's start with how Bill Belichick is able to keep players focused with his personal life being so involved in everything. Here's Belichick.
No, she doesn't have any role in the UNC football program. But again, there's been, noise out there about a lot of different things. Again, our focus is, day to day, getting better, stacking good days together, having good rest, recovery, and training moving forward the next day. And from the coaching staff to focus on, how do we help our team get better? That's my job. That's our staff's job is to put a good plan in place so that they can, if they do the work, that they see the improvement. And so, that's what our job is.
Here's the part that's shifty. Is that the right word? Saying she's not a part of UNC football is true. It also doesn't mean that people that are a part of UNC football aren't distracted by it or talking about it or interested by it. And I also want to point this out. I've been a college football player, not at the level of UNC, but I've been a college football player in the sense that the most important thing in my day-to-day life was football, right? And I went to school and I was doing the school thing and I was academically doing all right. So I wasn't pushing other priorities aside. But if I had extra time, I was spending it on football. So even though it was a lower level, it was FCS. I was playing at the University of Delaware. I treated it like it was the NFL. I don't care what I knew about the head coach's personal life. 0.0% chance was I letting the coach know that I was interested in it. Right? If the coach had everything going on with Bill Belichick, right? If he had, I don't know, my coach wasn't as old as Belichick, but if he had a young girlfriend that everybody was talking about, if, he would go, Tim doesn't care at all. He hasn't brought it up to me once. We've never once even referenced it. And I'd be going, yup, never going to bring it up with you, coach. That doesn't mean we wouldn't be talking about it in the locker room. That doesn't mean we wouldn't have been talking about it walking around campus. When coach is around, I don't even know what you're talking about, coach. Didn't see any of it.
I have a theory for you, Tim, and this is more for us speaking. What if Bill Belichick has us right where he wants them in terms of media members, but also fans outside the UNC football program, in terms of if the only negative press that's coming out of Carolina football's camp right now is just about Jordan Hudson, there's no telling how much talent they have on that roster right now and what they could do once this season begins.
You think he's playing 3D chess and we're playing tic-tac-toe?
Exactly.
He's going...
He's outsmarting us.
He's the magician right now going, look over here, look over here, look over here. Meanwhile, his other hand is doing all of the magic on the other side.
Meanwhile, Gio Lopez, Bryce Baker, and Max Johnson are just dueling it out right now on the field for that starting quarterback position.
Maybe. It would be a new move, right? Belichick had never done that in the past, right? It's not like on to Cincinnati. Was to distract us from Tom Brady is awesome. But maybe. I mean, if he's really, and maybe that's what the 24-year-old is teaching him. Hey, you can use the media. Maybe that's it. I'd be very surprised.
Am I dumb for thinking that?
I'd be very surprised if all of this was that coordinated. Because I can't.
I mean, we're talking about a guy that also was a part of a big Super Bowl scandal too. I'm not. Well, I don't know how involved he was, but I'm not putting it past him to throw up smoke screens.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's throwing up. I think more likely he would just say, like, our roster's not where it needs to be, and we need to get better. Meanwhile, he might have loved his roster. I don't know. Maybe. I'm not going to say you're wrong because there's nothing that has happened since Bill Belichick took the job that I would have been able to predict. So I would have said all of this would have been surprising. So what you're saying, I would be surprised, but it would just be, the 15th consecutive thing that surprised me. But let's talk football, right? Because that's what Belichick wants. That's what we want, if we're being honest. At least what I want, if we're being honest. And their quarterback position is fascinating. Max Johnson is not Belichick's guy, meaning he wasn't recruited by Max Johnson. But I do think he's kind of Bill Belichick's guy in that Bill Belichick likes grinders, and he likes guys that battle back and overcome adversity. So Max Johnson was the starter last year for UNC. Blew out his leg in the very first game at Minnesota. And has been diligently rehabbing, been following it on social media. Belichick was asked about Max Johnson's rehab progress.
So Max is doing very well. His rehab has been long, and I have a lot of admiration for him. I mean, it was a tough injury, but nobody's worked harder than he has, and he certainly is able to do a lot more than he was last spring. So we'll see exactly where he is when things start, but it's a whole lot closer, and we certainly expect to see him out there. So it's been very encouraging.
There's an update on the injury progress. I notice, I don't think they're banking on him being the starter. Why? Because they brought in Gio Lopez, a transfer reportedly for around $2 million. Those are reports not confirmed. Belichick was asked about Gio Lopez's progress, obviously not back from injury, but from taking over a new offense and starting at a new school.
It was really productive at South Alabama. He's a dual threat quarterback. He's had plenty of production yardage, both the running game and the passing game experience. Tough kid, played well against some good competition, teams like LSU. Looks like he's definitely ready for this level, and we're excited to work with him as we are with everybody else. So we've got some freshmen, we've got Max, got some experience, and Gio. So we'll see how it all plays out. Honestly, none of them, with the exception of Max, for a handful of plays last year, none of them really taken any snaps here. So it'll be, it'll be good to see how all that plays out.
I mean, that is true. Max only played 3 quarters in that season opener?
In the rain, and it wasn't necessarily going well. And there was a lot of handoffs to Omari and Hampton. That's about as Belichick has sounded since he's been the head coach at UNC.
You know what? I love it. I'm taking the headphones off. I love this much football talk that we've gotten regarding Bill Belichick so far. This is what I've been fiending for.
I would have expected 100% of that when he took the job. Obviously, we've gotten very little of that since he took the job, and instead we've gotten everything else. But we didn't learn anything there, right? Gio Lopez, he was good at South Alabama. Yeah, we see the stats. It's him and it's Max and it's a couple freshmen. All right, we can look at the roster. And not many of these guys, well, just Max a little bit. None of them have played snaps. Yep, we're aware. But that's Belichick, right? He tells us nothing. That's what he does to the media. Let's see if we can get a little bit of information out of him. He was asked what he feels the strength of the team, his team, the Tar Heels, will be this season.
I think we're just going to have to evaluate that as we go. We'll have a lot better idea in training camp. Again, there were several players that left the team after spring ball, and then we have a lot of new ones, a lot of new faces, both incoming freshmen and players who came from transfers. And so we'll just have to see how all that plays out. I think where we were then and honestly where we are even today is we're at a different spot. So, it'll be interesting to see how it all comes together. We got a lot of work to do, but it's certainly trending in the right direction. We've had good leadership from, again, some of the guys that have come in here, some of the people that you'll hear from later on. Those guys have done a great job of setting the pace. And encouraging the guys to come along and put in the work. And we've had really good, results from our physical training and the team building as well. So long way to go, but, feel like we're on the right track.
That's Bella. There's nothing there.
I love how in that
there's nothing.
I love how in that 58-second soundbite we saw proof of what Bill Belichick has been able to master during his time in the NFL, which is saying so much without saying nothing at all.
I would say a lot of times he doesn't even say a lot. He just says nothing, and it's short. There's nothing there. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. I'm not saying it like he owes us more. I'm saying the goal of that answer was to say nothing. And also, he probably gains nothing by giving us a real answer. Oh, our strength's going to be the defensive backs. Or our strength's going to be the offensive line. Because then if they struggle for the first 2 games, you've put an undue pressure on them. There's the most frustrating thing about the way Belichick or Greg Popovich or any of these kind of notoriously curmudgeon-y with the media coaches, the most frustrating part about it is it makes sense. There's good reason to handle the media that way. There's usually very little gained by willingly giving up information to the media. Now that makes our job more difficult, but his job's not to make my job easy, right?
At least it's entertaining.
If you do, I think that's why, to use Popovich as an example, the ridiculous answers during those little sideline interviews where he's just like, no, and he runs away. I think part of that was he knew he wasn't going to say anything. He knew he wasn't going to give up any insight. He knew he wasn't going to give us anything of note or substance. So he might as well give us something to chuckle at and fill the 45 seconds of the timeout. I don't think Belichick necessarily thinks like that. I think he's just like, I'm not going to give you anything. What's our strength? Well, we're going to have to evaluate. We got new players. We got 4 new players. We got a transfer portal. We got quarterbacks. We got new coaches. We got a facility. There's nothing there.
I mean, at least he's not setting unrealistic expectations prior to the season, like you mentioned. Yeah, they could start off 4-0, and he could have said the defensive backs, like you mentioned, or running back groups is going to pick right up where Maureen Hampton left off. Instead, he's like, well, we have a brand new roster. I mean, we have 4 stars and 5 stars, but North Carolina football fans have seen how that's gone in the past. So
there you go.